Hey everybody, this is Becca Activator, creator of Becca Activator Productions, Activator's Media Reviews, and even the Gameplay channel. So, before I say any of this, just let it be known that I might be ranting a little bit, just because this is something I really want to talk about, and it's been on my mind for a little while. And also let it be known that I'm releasing this on August 12th, my birthday. So, happy birthday, me. Anyway, so I just wanted to make this video because I'm thinking about how I feel about the state of my YouTube channels and how everything's going and how I want it to continue in the future. Because it's a long story, but when I started Becca Activator Productions, the idea behind it was every project would be separate. It wouldn't ever interconnect, because the studio I had before, Activator Studios, that was interesting because that was interconnected. Every project was interconnected with one another. And that was the entire point of it. So the entire point of this studio was to not repeat that and have it be every project is separate. Well, I've been thinking about it, and especially if you guys have been watching productions, it's been interconnecting a lot. And I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me. You know, the Gameplay channel, I've been going through a bit of a restructuring on that. I thought about it and wasn't, subscriber to viewer ratio wasn't very good. In fact, barely anybody's been watching me there. So I just decided to do a full restart on Gameplay, which means I'm barely uploading there when I used to upload multiple times a week. And then media reviews. I've been posting a review a week, but I haven't recorded any in a while, so they've just been releasing. And with that, I haven't been getting as many views there either recently. So I haven't felt as motivated to do any gameplay or media reviews. And now it's starting to become true for productions. I had announced a bunch of projects that have been, being worked on bit by bit. The Sonic Frontiers Activators timeline, which was going to take the Sonic Frontiers game, and I was going to change it a little bit by adding voices by, myself and a bunch of other people who have either, one, voiced the characters before, or two, were somewhat new to the thing. But it was still going to be voiced differently. Then there's the whole Into the Mindscape thing I recently announced, which was going to be about Bill Cipher and, me getting out of my own mind, out of my head. And then even Doki Doki Operation Life 2, or as it's called, Doki Doki Operation Fun. And then, that's not even touching on the whole, other projects I've announced before but haven't been worked on yet, like the Activators movie or the Pinkie Pie show. So, anyway, I've been thinking about it, and I'm getting to the point where I'm feeling less and less motivated to work on projects. And I don't know why that is. It could be, one, the lack of views. It could be, two, the whole thing about it being summer and not having having to wait too much time to not be able to do anything. Or, I don't know, it could be some third thing, I don't know. But what I do know is with productions, it's becoming to the point where, I'm not feeling very good about how it's going right now. The studio is at the point where I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to continue it. With Doki Doki Operation Life, that was the first, full-on movie I had made in quite some time. And it turned out really well. And the reason I think it turned out so well was because it was, it was like, it took a while to make, took a few months. It was entirely an experiment, because before this, I had not made a movie like that. One, in terms of how it looked and felt, but also in, tone and in maturity. Because previous projects of mine didn't go into themes like mental health and, feeling like you want to end yourself, things like that. And this movie was the first time I had actually done that, you know? And when that movie released, it felt so good because it was entirely an experiment to see if I could pull off something like that, and I did. In fact, that's the most successful movie I've ever made. It's the first one to, even get above 200 views, It got 2,000, which is a lot. So, anyway, that movie was such a hit and felt so good to put out that the only downside of that movie, in my opinion, was the fact that I put that post-credit scene in there, like implying that there'd be another thing with Pinkie Pie entering the picture. Now, it's hard to explain to people, like the newer people, who don't know the history with Pinkie Pie as a character. Long story short, I had like a whole studio before this where Pinkie Pie was a prominent character that showed up every once in a while, and she just had beef with me, the real, me. The version of Activator that's in Doki Doki, So when it came down to recently, I've been having her in the background kind of doing her thing, but it's feeling less and less, like me wanting to work on that story. And I'm feeling way less motivated to do stuff. And I don't know why that is, but what I do know is I need to change things. And that's going to start with how I'm going to work on the studio moving forward. So it's hard to explain. I'm going to need some time to think about it. For all I know, I've already started working on this since I'm recording this like a week before I'm putting this out. But I'm going to try to turn the entire storyline I had planned for interconnected stuff from the beginning of productions up until now, and what's going to come up with the interconnected stuff and Pinkie Pie in the back scenes, and turn it into kind of a big finale type thing. The best way how I could explain on how this is working is if you guys have ever heard of Secret Wars. It's a Marvel comic. I guess the best way you could look at it is either that, or if you're not a huge Marvel fan, you're more of a DC fan, they do have Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is very similar. But the basic idea of that is taking everything that they've done up until that point and have a big finale where the end of it has everything be deleted and all be restarted. I kind of almost did that with Book Infinity when it first came out. It was like a 8-part thing, and end of the 7th part into the 8th part was really kind of trying to end it all. But then, I kept holding on to that. I kept bringing things back. Like the Pity thing. That series had been going for a while, but I kept doing that. I kept bringing the character back. And then there was the Pinkie Pie thing. Like, she was still around, and the story kept going even though it was meant to end. So, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it into kind of a 2-part finale, possibly 1 part, depends on how long it ends up being, where the storyline, where what was going to happen was Pinkie Pie was going to build this team of people, which has already been set up in the previous movies I put out, to take the character of me on. And I'm going to turn which would have happened over the course of multiple movies and things, and change it so it is part of this big finale. And have it result in the end of it being the end of all of this as a whole. Don't worry when I say this, because that doesn't mean I'm gonna, stop making movies in general. Like, that's not true. Like, I'm still planning on doing a Doki Doki sequel. I'm still planning on putting Activator's timeline out. I'm just reworking that right now because I want it to be better than it was turning into. So it's just going to take longer to make. And then, but the difference this time is that these projects that originally were going to be, interconnected to Pinkie Pie's story in the background at first are no longer going to be. Like, here's an example. Doki Doki Operation Fun, which is the sequel, right? That was originally going to be directly after the first movie. Having it be about me helping, Monica, Sayori, Yuri, Natsuki, all of them. Helping them find, a conclusion for their story. The idea would be that after a result of me changing the code in the first movie, the world that they're in is I guess getting more and more unstable to the point where they have to leave the game and go find another place to live. And that would have been me trying to help them all figure out how they're going to continue their story. But now I think it's going to end up being a little bit different. It might not even be following the same universe, necessarily. Thinking about reworking it to instead being an alternate thing following directly the original game. Maybe instead of Monica asking me for help, she does it herself and saves these characters herself. And the story is about, them finding their new purpose, but also giving Monica some redemption. Changing stuff like that. And who knows, maybe the title won't even be Doki Doki Operation Fun anymore after I rework it. But the point is, I want to restart it. Start everything from scratch. Don't have to be interconnected. Let go of everything that's been going on. Just because it's become tiring for me, and unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes. Like I said, gameplay had to go through a complete restructuring because barely anybody was watching, and I've been feeling less motivated. And now I'm just kind of posting what I want there and not necessarily having it to be consistent, So, anyway, long story short is, I'm going to work on a Pinkie Pie movie that is going to kind of conclude everything. I don't even know when I would put this out because I have some of the ideas of what I'm going to do, but I don't know most of what I'm going to do. Plus, I have to figure out if I'm going to stop motion animate it, which I really don't want to, or if I'm going to pull a Doki Doki and have it be of more like a picture slideshow kind of thing. It's a long story, but having it look like Doki Doki did in the sense that it's two-dimensional images, and when they talk, their mouth opens, and there's not a lot of movement kind of thing. So, don't know when it would come out. Still have to work on it. But if I had to guess, September, October maybe even later, I don't know. But unfortunately, the downside of this is I'm going to have to delay basically everything I said was going to come out. So, Frontiers Activator's timeline was going to get delayed anyway, because I'm going to rework it, long story, getting it for my computer, and I'm going to add some mods to it to make it look better. And then Doki Doki was going to come out in fall, but I'm not sure about that anymore, unfortunately. Because, especially if I'm going to rework everything, I kind of would rather have that be, reworked into a better story. So, long story short is, I'm going to go through a bit of a restart. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, to the, almost 100 people now that have subscribed to this channel, by sheer happiness for me, it was surprising, actually, to see me gain that many subscribers that quick. It all started when I announced Operation Life existed, and that got 2,000 views right out of the gate. And people kept seeing it and kept supporting me, loved it. I gained some friends through that, and even people willing to help me with the next project. Someone I had met from the first movie online who helped me make the new logo, Stuff like that. And in the end, this has been so much fun so far. I just kind of want to change things a little bit. So, that's kind of my update. Thanks for guys so much for listening. I hope you guys listened all the way through. I have no idea if you did, but if you did, thank you for listening. I will keep you guys posted on what I decide to do. But it's a long story. Just stay tuned, guys, and I'll have probably more information down the line. Anyway, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next video. See you. Bye!